Well, Chief Meteorologist, Melissa Frey has been in Nome all weekend where she is following the impacts of what was former Typhoon Halong. And Melissa, you've come across many stories this week of surviving flooding, homes floating down the river and high winds. How are things shaping up this morning?
Yeah, Aaron, it's just been incredible to see the community and many communities coming together here across Western Alaska, preparing for the storm, surviving the storm, and now beginning that early recovery phase from the storm. Now, here in Nome, it is a completely different feeling here this morning. It is calm. There is no wind. The temperature certainly much colder, but the biggest difference is just how calm it is, because yesterday we could hardly stand out here with those winds gusting well over 50 miles per hour, rain pounding through the day. We did see water levels come up around 5 feet here overnight. Those are now starting to recede. So no major impacts here in Nome. But as you have seen, just such a different story to our south there through that YK Delta region, where we did see Category 2, a hurricane force strength wind gusts that tore through the area, really bringing in that extreme wind. And it was through the night last night that I started getting calls and texts and messages from people literally asking for help. I spoke with Tamua Paul as her home was floating away from the village. Here is her story. Extreme wind. And water where it shouldn't be. From Bethel to Kipnik and everywhere in between, as the former Typhoon Halong tears a path across the Bering Sea.
I put on my sandals and I noticed there's water on the floor, and I called my sister right away.
Tamura Paul woke up to water on the floor of her home and soon realized she and her daughters were in trouble.
We are kind of far from the river, and the flood usually doesn't hit us.
I was able to reach her by phone as her home wasn't just flooding, but floating downriver.
I was sleeping during the storm, and I woke up to messages from my sister. She just said that my house was floating away.
Sending pleas for help on social media as the house rocked.
Do you know how it sounds to be on a boat?
Yeah.
In waves?
Yeah.
Sounds like that.
Oh my goodness.
She reminds her girls they are going to be okay, but need help to come soon, as they suspect they are now miles from home.
We're good. We're scared, but we're good. I keep telling them we're breathing. We're still breathing. We're alive.
And just to the north, the village of Chifornik, also flooding. You can see the water tearing through the village, taking anything with it as the high winds continue. From the coast to the river, even further inland, buildings couldn't hold up to the wind. That was a window shattered by flying debris at David Miller's home in a village just north of Bethel. He said he also lost his shed and likely more. But the concern from families who can't reach their loved ones, is everyone accounted for? The National Guard is actively doing search and rescue operations now to make sure.
We're just actively in a response phase. We're search and rescue, life, health, safety, making sure that people are getting out of those situations, and we're doing everything we can to support them.
In Nome, as the winds increase, operation specialists with the state are responding to needs here, while also concerned about those to the south.
Our hearts go out to everyone affected. This was a really scary moment for a lot of people. There's so much at play, so much damage.
Lucio says, first, be safe. Call 911 if you need help. But if you can, also document the damage.
If you do have damages to your home, please capture that in photographs, collect all important documentation. That's especially important in the recovery phase that comes after this.
It's been a tough day for these Alaskans, and the extent of the damage is still not fully known as the storm continues its path, now across the Seward Peninsula. Melissa Frey, Alaska's news source. It's just hard to imagine even talking there with Tamua and with other families that were literally in their home as it was floating downriver, and they didn't know where they were going. They didn't know when it was stopped, and they were needing that search and rescue. Now, the second call that I made was right to the National Guard. They told me that they were aware of the situation. They were sending crews in. And that was the story all day yesterday. It wasn't until late last night that we started getting word in that more of these people were being found, being rescued, and being taken to safety. So we continue to hope for good news there and good stories. And here, live again in Nome, it is calm. You can't see it behind me, but the Bering Sea is there. We can hear those waves crashing, but it sure is nice to see and hear a much calmer Bering Sea this morning. We'll see what the recovery efforts bring today. Kristen?
All right, thanks, Melissa. Let's get back to that unbelievable moment caught on camera in Kipnuk, where a shipping container carried by the high floodwaters and strong winds knocks into a home. Homes in western Alaska not standing up to the conditions former Typhoon Halong brings into the state. This is video that shows some of what people are fighting against as the storm pummels villages and towns. It's one of the most difficult storms people in western Alaska have seen. Now, according to data from NOAA, this is record-breaking flooding by more than a foot. The Department of Public Safety says at least 8 homes in that area were pushed from their foundations. Adelmi Ruiz joins us now. She's been keeping an eye on the developing situation as several people are unaccounted for in western Alaska. Adelmi.
Kristen, officials say that there are 3 people that are still unaccounted for in Kwigillingok, and others may be unaccounted for in Kipnuk. State troopers say at least 18 people were rescued in Kwigillingok, and at least 16 people were rescued in Kipnuk. The Department of Public Safety says it's continuing to work with local officials to verify and confirm the count of those who are still missing. They advise that anyone that needs immediate rescue can contact the Alaska Rescue Coordination Center. And looking ahead, with storms like this, safety concerns continue after this water subsides. The Alaska Department of Environmental Conservation says systems like wells and wastewater treatment plants can be negatively impacted. Also, fuel systems and homes can be damaged and leak into the environment. For example, heating oil tanks can come loose from their structures and float away or tip over. The DEC is ready to go into the field once the State Emergency Operations Center calls.
And this is going to include helping communities assess their drinking water and wastewater systems. We'll be helping out with any spills or contamination and supporting, safe cleanup and recovery operations.
Situation, bring you updates as they become available to us. Kristen.
All right, thanks, Adelmi. The Alaska Department of Transportation is also working to keep up with storm damage across the western portion of the state.
The Bethel Airport took a lot of high wind, a lot of debris on the runway. So our airport maintenance people are clearing that runway.
Crews in Bethel were hard at work Sunday following hours of sustained wind speed and high water. While cleanup efforts are underway, it'll be hours before the full extent of the damage will be known. As we all work to see what the scale of the damage will be, Shannon McCarthy with the DOT says people of western Alaska will need continued support through this significant storm.
We're really part of just a larger statewide team. So DEC, state troopers, even U.S. Coast Guard, FEMA, those are all of us are working together. We are providing that support through the state's Emergency Operations Center, both with our partners and with our state partners and with our federal partners as well.
McCarthy says keeping runways clear is so important because our airports are our lifelines.